Hi everyone. So this evening I'm going to be doing more of a cozy chat about some books I love about creating herbal recipes while I remake my mouthwash formula. So I'll be taking you through that as well. So I decided to make a little bit more of a chill video today because I honestly just ran out of time. So here we are, but I think this will still be full of value. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Megan and I am a person here on YouTube. I'm a mom, I'm a thesis student, I'm a community herbalist, and I'm just making fun, informative videos about herbalism and herbalism adjacent topics. So we are going to start by just talking about the mouthwash formula that I have and I'm gonna make. And I'm gonna take out the sweater because it's freaking hot, even though it's very cold outside. I think it's about -18 outside, which is seasonal, but we've had a pretty mild winter so far. So this mouthwash formula was heavily inspired by my teacher and mentor, Seven Song. So let's see if you can see that here. So it has got Yarrow, Echinacea, Willow, Rosemary, cinnamon, and glycerin. This mouthwash formula actually works really well to me. I do have mild gingivitis, and I find that whenever my gums are a little bit tender or even like bleeding after flossing or brushing, I can squirt just a little bit of this tincture on it and it arrests the bleeding right away, which is pretty amazing. The base is alcohol, so if you do have alcohol sensitivities, you know, you may not want to use alcohol, but it works really well for what I need. So firstly, what I did, I just wrote out just the little formula of how many parts per each of the herbs that are going in. So we've got 3 parts of yarrow, 3 parts of echinacea, 2 parts of willow, 2 parts of rosemary, and a part of cinnamon and glycerin. And so the key for this formula is that we've got some anti-inflammatory herbs, we've got some astringing herbs that will astringe like the bleeding, and we also got some antiseptic herbs that will help to heal as well. So that is what is included in here. So as I do that, I'm also going to refer to a few books that I really like and have used extensively for making recipes and referring to, and hopefully that will be of use to you. So let's get started. I've got my little beaker here. So first we need, oh, I guess I should also mention as well, so the tincture, this is all a tincture-based formula. Obviously, it's not a tea or a glycerin. It's all in alcohol, and I made these tinctures anywhere from ranging from 2017 to 2022. Now the beauty about alcohol tinctures is that it does take them quite a while to break down. Obviously some break down faster than others. Some of them, like Salix or Willow rather, will precipitate out, and same with Echinacea. So there will be some residue left in the bottom. I don't think you can see that. Residue left in the bottom with the constituents where they have like kind of separated from themselves in a way. So anytime that you use like an older tincture, and I usually wouldn't use any that are over 10 years old, but I would always double check first. But you want to give them like a really good shake to make sure everything is mixed together well. And whenever I do use this mouthwash, I do give it a good shake first before I squirt any into my mouth. Okay, so we'll start with the yarrow here. So we just need 30 mils of yarrow. $30 mils of echinacea, 2 20 mils of Willow. Smells so good. 20 mils of rosemary. $10 mils of cinnamon. It's got some chunks in there. And cinnamon is purely because it's delicious. And last but not least, 10 mils of glycerin. And the glycerin is just to cut the harshness of the alcohol, and it's also sweet. So the cinnamon and the glycerin really help to make it delicious tasting. Beautiful. Sometimes I just squirt a little bit more glycerin in there just for good measure, because it doesn't hurt. Now that is full up right to the very top. And then I'm just gonna give that a good shake. And then let's give it a little try. That's good. Excited to have that back in my repertoire. And so it looks like the last time I made it was actually November of 2022, so it does last a very long time. This was a 120 ml bottle. So I will leave that recipe, or that formula rather, linked down below if you're interested in it. A lot of these you can get from your local health food store as a tincture, though it might be a little bit pricey to buy all the individual tinctures and measure them out, but I will leave it down in the description anyways for those folks that are interested in checking it out. So the next thing I wanted to do was just share some of the resources that I found really helpful, especially when I was learning about herbalism as a baby herbalist. I still feel in many ways to be a baby herbalist, and also because I do refer back to these a lot. So one of my just all-time favorites, this is before I went to herb school or apprenticed, was Rosemary Gladstar. And I mentioned her before. She was the person who came up with the formula or the recipe for fire cider. So she has a course called The Art and Science of Herbalism. Science and Art of Herbalism. And so I did this, I think, back in 2015 or something. I'd done a few courses before that, but this home study course, I mean, I feel like in some ways it's really dated, but it's so accessible and friendly, and it's not overwhelming. And she gives tons of recipes for things that you can make at home, just with really basic ingredients. And she's got there are a few lessons in here. So there are 10 lessons, and it covers, it covers everything very, I guess briefly, for lack of a better word. Though for the beginner, it is a lot of information. But she covers things the nervous system, what are decoctions and infusions, skin problems, respiratory system, all the way to the urinary system, looking at the different materia medicas for each system, and then a lot of recipes infused into there as well. She talks about flower essences, she talks about making medicinal formulas, about gardening, you know, about diet, about the female reproductive system, the male reproductive system, so all that stuff. I just think it's such a wonderful course for someone who's like super new. It is self-study. So when I did it, I actually did it in a group of people on Vancouver Island, and that was actually a nice way to do it. But you can do this all on your own at home, and it's really fun. And then you just like send it off to get it like marked and graded for completion. But I love it so much. The next one that I'm going to talk about is the Boreal Herbal by Bev Gray. And so this is a Canadian herbalist. She's based up in the Yukon. And again, this was like before I did my apprenticeship or any kind of herbal school. And this one is really nice and beginner friendly as well. So it is a guide to harvesting, preserving, and preparing wild food and medicine plants of the north. So plants that grow abundantly in the Yukon and in the Northwest Territories. And again, like she has the first part kind of covers the kitchen apothecary, what you need. The second part covers all the different herbs that she uses, all the different berries that she uses, and trees. And then she has a whole section, part 3, on preparations and recipes. And this is actually where I first found out how to make a still, so your stovetop still. And yeah, and then she's also got some recipes for more like food-based things, so that's also nice too. Again, it's very accessible, lots of beautiful photos, something I would recommend for the beginner. Oh, I forgot one. So this next one is The Gift of Healing Herbs by Robin Rose Bennett, and this has been a very well-used book. Again, very beginner friendly. It's plant medicines and home remedies for a vibrantly healthy life. And she has more of like a poetic way of, you know, talking about things. She has like poems for each of the herbs that she talks about, but she does list them into like the nervous system, the cardiovascular system, musculoskeletal system, and then she has a place in the back for like kitchen medicines as well. And sprinkled throughout are like recipes and formulas for like really easy things that you can make. So I would highly recommend this book as well. In the beginning, she talks about like what is soulful healing. It's very gentle and like welcoming book. So this is also a really lovely book to have if you are new or starting out. The third one, now I haven't used Susan Weed's books that much, but there's something about them. They're also just really fun to have on hand. She also writes in a very accessible way. This book I think is like one of her first, maybe, called Healing Wise, and it goes through, let's see how many. It only goes through 7 herbs like in depth, but that is like more than enough, especially when you are starting out. Now, I was just flipping through an old like herbal journal of mine, and I did find a quote that said, it's more important to know one herb that can do 40 things rather than 40 different herbs. And I think that's a really good kind of like mantra to have in mind when you're just starting out on this journey. And it's often something I have to remind myself of too. Like, I often feel this need to go and like learn more and more about like more exotic plants, but it's really good to have a very stable foundation, like really know the basics that grow in your area, like the nettles, the cleavers, the poplar, the fir, really knowing those plants and then expanding out, because like having a solid base is gonna like do wonders for your like confidence in like learning herbalism, and also like being able to apply it in real life, and eventually being able to maybe counsel others as well. So this book again is really simple. So she just talks about 7 different herbs, but she also talks about like the traditions of healing and the wise woman way, which is something that she kind of coined early on. as kind of like the antithesis of like heroic medicine or like mainstream medicine. But here she has also like really lovely recipes in there as well, along with facts. And I would recommend these books as well. So this one is Healing Wise, and she has one about the childbearing year, menopausal year. She has one about breast cancer as well. And I think one about reproductive health as well, and maybe more. So the last two are specifically like medicine making books if you want to get kind of like more specific information on if you are making tinctures or you are making a cream or a poultice or a salve, like what, basically the math of it all. So it talks about the math of it all. It, again, a very non-technical way. There are other books that are a lot more technical. This one, is called Making Plant Medicine by Ryko Czech. And this is quite an old book already as well. I think it was published in the 80s. Oh, 2000, so not that old. Only 24 years old, which is crazy to think of still. But anyways, so in the beginning of the book, it lists out, he's got one chapter called Extracting Order from Chaos, the Mathematics of Tincturing, but he also talks about making salves and decoctions and all of that. And then the part that I love the best is that he has an alphabetical formulary where he lists out a number of herbs. I think there's got to be close to 50 or so. And under each herb, he talks about the parts used when you're making like a tincture or a tea, practical uses, dosage, external usage. And I actually refer to this book quite a bit for his recommendations on, especially like making tinctures, like what strengths he recommends. Like he will recommend like, oh, do it at a like 40% or like 80% strength. Of course, 80% it's not possible here in Canada, but in the States they can go really high with their percentages because they can buy ethanol. And then the second one is the Herbal Medicine Maker's Manual by James Green. And this one is a lot more in depth as well if you really want to get into making medicine at home. It's got, wow, just a lot of stuff. Whatever you want to make, it's probably in here. It's got very detailed instructions, but also not overwhelming. So would highly recommend this book as well. And yeah, that's basically what I recommend for kind of like beginner books if you're interested in like creating formulas or like making recipes from herbs. And yeah, I think these are a great place to start. So thank you for following along again. I hope this was informative in some way. Like I said, I will leave that recipe, that formula for the mouthwash down below, and I will refer to all the books that I mentioned as well and links to them. And another resource that I forgot to mention was Herbalista. Herbalista was initially created by Lorna Moni Brodick, and she is an Atlanta-based clinical herbalist. Incredible herbalist, and very community oriented. So she has a website called Herbalista, and on there she has got just a ton of resources as well for people beginning out. And she actually, I think, has like just a totally free course on beginning herbalism. I'll leave the link here as well if that is the case, but definitely check that out. And I guess I can't leave without referring to my teacher and mentor, 7th Song. So this is actually the handbook from when I went to herb school and was an apprentice. So the Northeast School of Botanical Medicine, 7th Song is also very, very generous with his knowledge. He is very active on Instagram and will post recipes and recommendations and his own thoughts on herbalism and clinical practice. So do check him out as well. I will also link him down below. But as always, if you like this video, share it with someone, leave a comment with any questions, like it. I am indebted to you. Okay, until next time, bye.